So now we think of that as a root and a major third. I'm going to work down the chord scale, root and minor third, root and minor third, root and major third, root and major third, root and minor third, root and minor third. Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video we're going to go over some cool ways that you could use DADGAD tuning, also known as D sus4 tuning. So this is a great tuning because it makes your guitar, just strumming it with open strings, play a chord, and therefore it's easy to just add single notes or two notes at a time along the fretboard to create some really cool sounds. Before we get into the lesson, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all of the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. And if you want to be notified of any new lesson, be sure to tap the bell. Alright, so right now I'm tuned to standard tuning. So this is what I'm going to do. Right now I have E, A, D, G, B, E, and I want D, A, D, G, A, D. So I take my E and I tune it down to a D. Now first I'm going to show you how I would do this without a tuner. I already have a D string, so I'm going to match my E to my D. Try to feel and hear the vibration, and if it's in tune it'll stop going like this. There's like a wah-wah effect when it's out of tune. So then I got the DAD taken care of because the A string stays the same, D stays the same, G stays the same, but now we need GAD, so the B string has to go down to an A, so I'm going to match this A. Then my high E has to be a D. So again, I have a D right here. Then I'm going to match my two E's, which are now two D's. And I can match my three D's. Now when you release all this tension off the neck, that sounds pretty good. The strings that you already tuned might go out of tune a little because, you know, the neck, it moves slightly depending on how much tension. So when you release tension, the other strings could go sharp. So now I'm going to use my fine tuner. I've got one of these microphone tuners to just see how I did. Alright, so now the beautiful DADGAD. And it's a D sus4 chord, so it's not major or minor. That's what's cool about it. It's just basically a D power chord with an added fourth, because let's say a D major chord, there's a D, an F sharp, and an A. That's root third fifth, D minor, D, F, A. That's root minor third fifth. And then the fourth is always G, whether you're in minor or major. So right now we have root fourth fifth. So that's the notes D, G, and A. So D, A, D, G, A, D. Awesome. All right, now here's some cool ways that you could use this tuning. Being we already have a chord, you could always just use the open strings as a pedal or a drone. Those are kind of the same word in music. A pedal tone is usually just a tone that's always at the bottom, or a drone, something that just goes on throughout. And you could just add notes anywhere on the guitar. So there I did a kind of D minor thing. If I want to do a D major thing, it would sound a little different. And again, you don't need to know technically what you're doing, you can just find what sounds good. So if I did more of a major. And you could try on different strings. All right, so now I'm going to give you a few two-note groupings that sound really good, and these are actually chords. So here's a grouping of two notes. which is a major third and a fifth. So now what we have is D, A, F sharp, there's that major third, A again, and D again. So now we have a D major chord. That's our D major. Now if we want to move that major third and fifth up to, let's say, a minor third and fifth, this would kind of imply E minor. The third would come down 1 fret, so now the third and the fifth are only 1 fret apart. So what I'm doing now is kind of a harmonized scale, where I'm doing in the scale 1, 4, 5 or major, 2, 3, 6 or minor. So here's the first chord, second minor, third minor, fourth major, fifth major, 6 minor. So let's say I just want to do 1, 4, 5, D, G, and A. I'm going to keep this same shape. Cool, so that's one shape you can move around. You could always just move the bar. Because then you have whatever that is, just a sus4 chord. D sus4, G sus4, A sus4, D sus4. Now earlier, that same shape I showed you for third and fifth, we could use as root and third. So let's say we start on this D on the 12th fret. That's our root, and there's our third, down 1 fret over 1 string. So now we think of that as a root and a major third. I'm going to work down the chord scale, root and minor third, root and minor third, major third, root and major third, root and minor third, root and minor third. All right. Now another cool bar chord shape with this is just your A-shaped bar chord. And what it ends up becoming is a sus2 voicing. So for instance, this is a C sus2. So let's say I want to go D sus4, C sus2, D sus2. Cool. Another way to play major and minor chords, here's a minor shape. This would be an E minor shape, but again, these are going to be kind of like drone chords. So the whole goal is to have some of these open strings ringing out. So as we move along, I'm not going to rename the chord based on the drone. I'm just going to talk about the core notes that we're moving around. So this is an E minor shape, because think about if we were playing an E minor, just a regular E minor, but the E, being it's tuned down 2 steps, we have to come up. So now we've got to grab 3 consecutive strings on the same fret. So here I am on the 2nd fret. But now let's say I want to move that up 2 frets. What I could then do is put my first finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, or the 3rd string counting toes to nose, and then I've got that. Now let's say I want to go major. Major, it's all about that third. Now this is the third of the chord. Instead of having a gap of a fret when I go up to a major chord, there's no gap. So it's just 3 on this fret and then 1 on the fret right before it. So let's say I wanted to go open D sus4, an E minor of sorts, an F sharp minor of sorts, then a G major. Ended on that earlier D major. All right, so another way to play major and minor chords builds off of what we just did, where we went like this, for instance, for major. Now, if we just focus on the top 4 strings, let's start with and then do this. So in this case, it's a G major, and we've got middle finger on the 5th fret of the D string, index finger on the 4th fret of the G, ring finger on the 5th fret of the B, and pinky on the 5th fret of the E. So there's a major chord shape. Now the minor shape would be to back up the index 1 fret. Major, minor. So let's say I want to go D to A to G. I'm just going to go open for D, A, G, D. And then I went up to that D. So the cool thing about these open tunings is just making use of those open strings as a drone. A cool way that you could play the D major scale, follow this shape starting on fret 4, 4, 2, 0, 4, 2, 0, 0 on the G, then back to 4, 2, 0, 4, 2, 0, now 5, 4, 2, 0. So and if you want to keep that pattern symmetrical, just leave out this note here, and then it's just the same exact thing all the way around. And you could do hammer-on riffs, pull-off riffs, So as you can see, DADGAD could be a lot of fun. It gives you that kind of open, mysterious kind of sound. It's great for beginners because just basically whatever you play is going to sound good and you could just follow your ear. But there are some ways we could get the sounds of a chord progression by combining a couple notes or even combining a lot of notes to just get a traditional kind of major or minor chord. All right, everybody, hope that was helpful. If you want to learn more about playing guitar, head over to guitartricks.com. Happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.